Hello, and welcome back to Crowington Stories. If you're new here, welcome to you too. Today we are going to be discussing a very complicated story of betrayal between individuals who were in a very otherwise happy marriage, but it turned out that one of them was cheating behind the other's back. Only this happened several years in the past before they even had children, and in the current day, they have two, ages 4 and 6. So yeah, they've been married for 8 years, and this affair happened roughly 6 years ago. And the wife in this equation is not happy about what she discovered and is on the brink of throwing away the entire marriage. Let's get into it. Am I the a-hole for blowing up my marriage over an affair that ended years ago? I, 34F, have been married to my husband, 36M, for 8 years. We have 2 kids, 6 and 4, a house, a decent life. Nothing flashy, just solid, or so I thought. About a month ago, I was organizing old photos on our shared computer and stumbled across a folder buried in a backup drive. It was from around 2019. Most of it was boring stuff, receipts, work docs, so I found a screenshot of a hotel confirmation and a few blurry, very personal selfies that were very much not taken by me. Same timestamp. My stomach dropped. I confronted him that night. He looked like a ghost. Didn't even deny it. He admitted everything. He had a 6-month affair with a coworker during a rough patch in our marriage. Our oldest was a newborn. We were sleep deprived, fighting constantly, etc. According to him, it ended completely when she moved out of state, and he never told me because it was over and wouldn't happen again. And it hasn't. He's been, by all accounts, a great partner since then. Supportive, affectionate, hands-on dad, loyal, at least from everything I could see. I had no idea. But now I feel like my whole life is a lie. The memories I thought were happy, our anniversary trip, our baby's first steps, even the night we conceived our second child, all happened while he was lying to me. I left to stay with my sister for a bit. I told him I didn't know what I want. I'm angry, heartbroken, humiliated. He's begging for forgiveness, saying he was stupid and selfish and that he thought he was protecting me from pain. His family knows, and they're begging me not to throw everything away over something that's been dead for years. Even my own mother said, if he's been good to you since, is it worth destroying your kid's home over the past? But it still happened, and I still just found out. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't look at him without feeling betrayed all over again. But I didn't get to process this when it happened. I get to process it now, and it feels fresh, even if it's not. So, am I the asshole for blowing up my marriage of an affair that technically ended years ago? So I'll let you guys know right now, I have a lot to say about this. There's so many parts of this puzzle to break down and discuss. The first one that I actually want to address is the fact that it seems like he only stopped this affair because the coworker moved out of state. That is concerning in and of itself, because imagine had that not happened, that affair probably would have dragged on, he probably would have been caught, and probably would have left his family for this mistress. Let's be real. And that, in and of itself, is extremely disheartening. I mean, if this person was willing to do it not just once, but not just twice, not just 3 times, but for a 6-month continuous period, means that he really had no respect for her, no sympathy for how she would feel knowing what he was doing, and even just for doing it behind her back without her knowing. That's a barrier, a threshold that you should never cross in a committed relationship, especially when you have children. And it's not because of, oh, what if you get caught? It's because you should be considerate of knowing that your spouse would be absolutely devastated if they knew what you were doing, which means what you were doing is unbelievably unacceptable. Now, to follow up with this, after being caught, I will say that it is a good thing that he owned up to it. However, I think the only reason that he was so quick to own up to it was because, for one, he probably thought, well, that was so many years ago, like, we're so past this, like, things are gonna be all right, which is not a good way to think. In my opinion, it seems like he wasn't initially convinced that this was going to have any repercussions, just from the way this is stated in the passage here, but it could be different. But once it was clear that she was hurt by this and didn't know what to do with the relationship and was probably contemplating a divorce, everything changes, and then this whole situation becomes extremely complicated. Now, I'm gonna make it very abundantly clear, I do not condone cheating, infidelity, etc., anything along those lines within a committed relationship. This is crossing an uncrossable boundary. So I would not expect forgiveness from the wife in this scenario. Everything going forward here is a matter of how she feels, what she values, and whether she is willing to let the past be the past. Unfortunately, nobody else has a say in this besides her, not even the dad, because you can't use the fact that they have kids as a scapegoat for this. You know, he vowed to be loyal to her, to not betray her, to be there for her through everything. You know, you make a commitment to your spouse, an unbreakable one, and he broke it. She is well within her right to seek a divorce, to seek a separation. But again, it gets muddier and muddier because of all the personal investment in this relationship, because it's an 8-year relationship and this happened roughly 6 years ago. And they've been completely clean since then. So this is a challenging situation, but I will answer the question for certain. Is she the asshole? Absolutely not. She is 100% entitled to her feelings, and if she wants to let go of this relationship because of this information, she still would not be an asshole for doing so, despite the fact that, you know, they have kids and they would be separating the household and complicating things for them and each other. But it is what it is. That's not her fault. It's sad. It's extremely unfortunate. It would be hard, challenging, awful, but it's not her fault. And I know that there would likely be some backlash from her family, and they would probably come after her from both sides of like, you know, this happened so many years ago. She already hinted that that was kind of their response of like, you know, let it go sort of thing. Don't destroy the family over that. Because I imagine they've created inseparable bonds between both sides of the family. And this sort of departure would make it hard to keep those bonds intact. And that completely changes everyone involved's lives. It also affects, you know, the grandparents and all of that. But regardless, it still boils down to the one who was wrong, the actual victim in the scenario. Now, it's hard to put yourself in the situation. I don't have kids. My wife and I have been together only a little bit more than a year that we've been married. Obviously, been together longer than that, but married for just a year, a little bit longer than that. So I really don't know what it's like to have that deep of a commitment where you have kids and you've been together for so long, and to then have to think back 6 years ago to find out at that time that your spouse had done something like this. I'm a very forgiving person, so if I were to be put in this situation, I feel in this current moment, I mean, I really don't know how I would feel, like, you know, being exposed to this information, but I feel like I would personally probably let it go after some time, because that's just how I am. Unfortunately, I would be sad that I would feel like I couldn't, you know, trust them the same way, and that's going to be a permanent damage on the relationship, and that's a scar that she also would have to live with. It would not heal. No matter how perfect he was for the next 30 years, that scar would likely never fully heal. And it's sad, but it's reality. This is the kind of price you pay for being a selfish asshole, especially during a time where she was most vulnerable. All those emotions that she was feeling and expressing wasn't just her natural state of being. It had to do with the stress from having a child, from being pregnant, so many different factors, I'm certain. And you are supposed to be there as your most loyal self, selfless self for your partner during those times, and he wasn't, which is just pathetic. Now, obviously, people grow up and stuff, and they become better people as time goes on, and you can make the argument that he just wasn't all that mature back then, and now he's really accepted the importance of family values, taking care of his significant other, his children, etc. And now he's a changed man. But again, that's what she would have to consider herself. Now we're going to look at some of the comments. There was one in particular that I found quite jarring. I don't know if you guys will feel the same way about it, but it's an interesting point, to say the least. We're actually going to start with that one because it's just so bizarre to me. So this one right here from Terrible Problem 573. I think it's SA when people cheat and then have sex with their significant other, exactly because the significant other didn't give informed consent. If someone takes the condom off without the other party knowing, that's assault. This isn't different, only her entire life and not just sex, it's beyond violating. Somebody responds with agreed though I'd never thought of it quite like that before. I think original poster deserves to be respected, and her husband just showed her that he didn't respect her or their marriage by his actions. What he did was reprehensible, and now it'll be up to her, and I hope a counselor who can help her work through this whole mess decide whether she wants to stay with his lying and cheating butt. Honestly, I don't know how to feel about that statement. It really caught me off guard. So I don't really have much to say about it other than like, wow, that was unexpected. I can't say whether it makes sense to me or not. I really don't know. And so what I'm curious about is what you all think. Please leave a comment about that comment. Let me know what you think and explain your reasoning too. I will absolutely be reading those and probably responding to those comments. I'm very curious. I've never heard that angle in my life, but people seem to be on board with it right now, but it's not that representative, I think, of what people in general might think necessarily. So let me know what you guys think. So the first comment, not the asshole. Your kids will be fine. Your husband abandoned, disrespected, dishonored, and humiliated you. He took away your right to informed consent to your own life. Would you have had a second kid knowing he cheated, etc.? Unfortunately, though, I don't think, addressing this from the what ifs is as important as addressing it as the what is. Considering what is right now is more important than considering what ifs. The what ifs don't really do much of, saying, would you have had the second kid if you had known, or, would you have carried on with the relationship had you known? The problem is that doesn't help her solve the current issue. The current issue is to be or not to be, to stay or not to stay. That is the question. And I guess if I were to give a suggestion, it would be a very much a non-suggestion, because all I could say is do what makes the most sense to you. If you think holding together this happy family right now that exists and keeping the kids together with their father and you at the same time is worth forgiving what happened in the past, then power to you. There is no weakness in forgiving. Somebody can wrong you and you can forgive them and you can move on. You could forgive that person for being weak and selfish and disloyal to you during that time, and recognize that they grew as a person if you truly believe that. And though it may still leave permanent damage on you that may never fully heal, it is something you could still move on from and continue to have a happy married life, probably. And on the other hand, if you decide it can't be done, I can't forgive, what they did to me was unforgivable, power to you as well in that decision. It's not a good idea to let the parameters surrounding the circumstances hold you back from what you think is best for yourself or your children. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you did enjoy, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time.